regardless of whether you work at an InForm Fitness or any facility, the environment is also very important. You have to be conscious of the environment in which you're working. At InForm Fitness, we have no music, we have no distractions, we keep it cool in there, we don't have any mirrors, because this requires a lot of internal focus. And we're asking people to lift weights 10 seconds up, 10 seconds down on average, and you're going to have some music with a totally different rhythm and beat. So that can be confusing. And besides, everyone likes different kinds of music, so you're going to be being a very frustrated DJ instead of a trainer. So the environment should be quiet. It should be cool so you don't overheat. Now that's an interesting point, by the way, this cool environment so you don't overheat. Very often a client will, after about 2 or 3 workouts, will say, hey, I thought you told me I wasn't going to sweat, because they're learning how to work out really hard. And I never said that. I didn't say you weren't going to sweat. I said we keep it cool in here so you don't overheat. There's a difference. Sweating, everyone sweats at different rates. You know, personally, I don't sweat that much. Other people, just the thought of working out makes them sweat. The point that the reason we keep the environment so cool is to enhance your performance. Because as soon as you start building up too much heat, you don't perform as well. If you're not performing as well, that means you're not making the workout as intense as it could be. So overheating prevents that performance. So that's why we keep it cool in there and distractionless. The other thing that we deal with is the equipment, special equipment for this type of workout. You see, when you lift weights very slowly, conventional equipment is really not made to be lifted so slowly. Our muscles have different strength curves through a range of motion. Let's take the bicep curl, for example. Our bicep generates the most strength or the most torque at a right angle. The elbow is at a right angle. But when you straighten your arm down and you're holding the weight and you're starting your repetition, the biceps is about 20% weaker in that position. And if you have a dumbbell in your hand, that's 100 pounds because your biceps can handle 100 pounds at the strongest right angle. And then you lower that weight to start a repetition. What happens is you're 20% weaker down there, which means you can only really handle 80 pounds down there. So how do you make up for that extra 20% that your biceps can't do? You have to use some kind of momentum, or arch your back, or do something that can potentially strain and hurt the joint. So when I decided that I was going to train everybody with slow motion training, I had to figure out a way of dealing with the fact that people aren't going to be allowed to use the momentum to get them out of their weaker positions. How do I deal with that? Well, the equipment that we've had made for us by people that know their stuff, that people that know their biomechanics and their kinesiology. All right, I've had them actually redesign the equipment to make the bicep curl machine 20% lighter at the beginning of the repetition, and then getting heavier at our strongest positions, and lighter again in the weaker position as it goes through the range of motion. So that is important, because that will protect all the small stabilizer muscles that really can't handle large loads. And now you're getting a very balanced resistance through a range of motion without compromising the integrity of the joint, and you get a much thorough workout. Also, when we look at our machines and we try to figure out what machines to use for our methodology, is we have to also make sure that the machines have very little friction in them. Again, friction is the enemy of lifting weights slowly, because if the machine has too much friction, you're trying to lift weights slowly, it's going to make it too heavy to lift, and then it's actually going to the friction is going to make it lighter as you lower the weight. So it's just not a very good combination, and if you're trying to have the muscle under constant load through the range of motion, friction is going to kind of muck that up. So our machines have been retrofitted when needed to eliminate a lot of that friction. And it's a very smooth experience, if you will. And your joints, thank you for it.